All right.
Nico, great to see you this morning.
Yeah, I know. How are you doing? I
I'm
missed
doing
last
great.
week, to be frank with you.
Yeah. It's been there's a lot of news happening right now. We had the Labor Day. We took Labor Day week off, which was a healthy break for us. I'm getting, with the fall weather, the windows open here, at least here in the Northeast. Uh, the smell of fall is in the air. The scent of
Yeah.
fall. Uh, and the NFL football season and college football season has begun. So
Oh my God.
my question to you as a European non-football American football fan is, who do you like this year for the Super Bowl?
All right. Well, you know my strong conviction about American football and my great understanding of it, right? It's I
Yeah,
know there's the Super Bowl, and that's the place where everyone has chicken wings and having a great time. So that's the extent of
right.
my knowledge around the sports. But I will go with obviously what's obvious to me is Atlanta is going to win. So
Atlanta.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah. Most people, it's a regional thing. Usually, the town that's closest to you, you root for. I did look up the odds. The Atlanta Falcons are 30-1.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
you're a heavy underdog.
okay. Well, let's put some money then because it could be good money then.
Okay. Well, my Eagles, who I'm not that far from, Philadelphia, we're 11-1. So,
Oh, okay.
so you do have, I've got the odds on my side, at least from that
Look,
point of
yeah. All right. Well, let's get started.
view. Yeah.
All right, everyone. This is Nico, the with eStreamy, the company that gets you live stream and video commerce on your website, social media, email, SMS, wherever your video is. The content is shoppable. So excited to be here. Sorry for last week. It's been a last week we were like planning on doing it, and then last minute, things change, and then fall is coming, and it was the holiday weekend and everything. We say, you know what, let's keep for this weekend, so we get to come back with a lot of energy for this week. I am here with the great host, Matt from E6 Marketing, the company that gets you on QVC HSN. We're so excited to hear. And why don't you kick the show with what the show is about, Matt?
Thank you, Nico. A lot to talk about this week. And thank you for listening or tuning in. This is called the VCommerce Podcast. It's a live chat podcast discussing today's big topics related to video commerce. What is video commerce? Video commerce is a storytelling platform that was created well over 5 decades ago with TV infomercials, graduated to HSN and QVC home shopping, and now has evolved into engaging direct response commerce through your TV, your computer, tablet, and phone. At its best, we tackle 5 hot topics of the week. Hopefully, we entertain you a little bit. You learn something new, and you come out of this podcast with knowing something you didn't prior. So I love to start, Nicholas. I know it just was announced within a half hour of the jobs report this week, which affects everyone that works in commerce and in business. Kind of flat. 142,000 new jobs were announced in August, which was lower than expected, but not terrible relative to July. Unemployment was up, or at least it hit a 5-month high in August. We got an election year. There's expected rate cuts later in September. All of this kind of conversation with the fall being here now unofficially, weather turning. Most people are thinking about the end of the year, which is the fourth quarter in business.
Yeah.
All this information, Nicholas, how do you look at it? And really, how do you look at the upcoming fourth quarter and how it's going to be in retail and ecom and VCom?
Yeah, so I think there's two elements to that. One is I don't think we ever had a report. For some reason, for the last 18 months or for the last 12 months, we don't have had any report that were very close to the reality. They were always revised later on. I think the months later or 2 months later was numbers down to the actual reality. So it's kind of concerning that as a society we are not yet able to really estimate those numbers yet, and especially that this is really a big signal for the whole economy, right? Especially that's a big signal for the Fed and everything. So that's one aspect. The number are done compared to the forecast, and they're done by about 90,000 job that they were planning to have as more. I'm hoping that the reforecasting that we will get, maybe in months or when the actual real data come in, will not be worse than that. So that's one thing. The other thing is, well, I think we have to be honest with each other, right? Q4 it doesn't seems to look so good. In full transparency, I mean, like talking to retailers and brands that I've talked to, everyone is, I won't say struggling, but everyone is feeling a pinch from the economy. Everyone is bracing for impact in some way, right? And I'm not saying recession or anything, but everyone is trying to line up their best promotion, make sure they're very tight on inventory, do not over hire, and be as lean as possible, because they just want to make sure that they don't get caught into the fire. I will say that if there is a reversal, I don't know how people will be ready to brace on and take on like some extra demand. So I'm hoping that I think people are really being very close to where the expectation in terms of forecast. Maybe probably people are forecasting not down numbers, but very close to normal numbers. And so if the economy were to get good and the interest rate was to go down, and then all of a sudden people start to consume again, will the brand be able to absorb that? Because there's a lot of things going on there.
We've got some great advice to kind of give in our next story, but basically to your point, ride lean going into the fourth quarter is probably the smart thing to do. Have your product and your quantity loads minimal, or at least smaller. Look to take small steps rather than big steps, as you may have thought about earlier this year for the fourth quarter. Just be smart about it. Don't
Yeah.
overbuy. Don't go crazy as a retailer. Limited quantities and sellouts and all kinds of that kind of thing. It draws eyeballs and draws customers. So there's nothing wrong with that, and I like that kind of dynamic. Now, you don't want to disappoint the customer by not having enough inventory, so it is a balancing act. But with every year with an election year, like everyone's always on pins and needles on how things will finish at the end of the year.
Yeah.
This is a very relative thing for the
And
U.S. Every 4 years.
And we talked about this like on the previous show, right? We talked about media buying from Temu and Shane being so high. Actually, I don't think we've talked about it the other day, but I was reading some stats from. I attended a talk from this guy from eBay, the product manager from eBay, and he was talking that Temu and Shane are really are the kind of the two behemoths that are driving ad spend right now and like are driving inventory, and so that's why ad has been so expensive recently. So when you think that those guys are heavily investing into ads, and then you have election years which are also heavily investing into ad inventory, so ad right now driving ad is very expensive, and so it really impact the bottom line of many merchants. Thankfully, November 9, should have like on November 10, ad spend, we should, ad inventory should go up again, and pricing should go down. But I do think it's really about. I think there was like some folks I was listening the other day from the Awesome podcast that were saying it's really about like focusing on closing deals and closing the customer that already are on the pipeline this year. That's what people should be really focusing on than trying to get new customer and doing more discount and more pricing. This year, I think is like, maybe taking a step back, focusing on what matter, making sure profitability is there, not over investing, and it's better to miss sales but be profitable than getting into a position where yes, you're looking for growth, but
It, it's interesting you bring up Timo and Sheen. My next story, and our next story is talking about TikTok Shop, and I know that's almost a weekly conversation that we have. There's always news with TikTok Shop. I read something on the opposite side of what's going on with TikTok Shop, not reaching their goals. So that was an interesting headline for me. So I took a deep dive. Daily gross merchandising value, which is called GMV, exceeded $20 million, doubling at the end of 2023. So 2023 was huge, $20 million, but they wanted 45 million at the end of
Mm-hmm.
2024, and they're not going to achieve it. So things are slowing down. And why are things slowing down? They postponed their launches in Europe and Asia and
Yeah.
South America, waiting for the US TikTok shop to kind of catch fire, and it hasn't done it. So what's going on? Why such a slow start in the US? A lot of different ideas and things. The length of the live streams is one, consumer habits is another, the true algorithm of the TikTok shop not being kind of US consumer friendly. Um, and then I've read 64% of TikTok influencers have seen an increased engagement on other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your take on TikTok Shop? Not even a year old yet. It was such a hot topic and a hot dynamic for the first 9 months of the year, and it seems to have slowed.
I mean, slowed, right? But it's already a $20 million business, $20 billion business. They were expecting 45 billion in an economy that is
Million. I think it's million in the US.
okay, million. So in an
That's a lot of
economy
money.
with, I mean, it's still growing. It's still growing fast. Maybe, yeah, maybe where they were maybe a little bit too aggressive as it's related to their own goal and growth that they could expect from the market. But I don't think it's going anywhere. I think merchants are starting to adopt it more. I think there was just they were had a goal of like the $1 million live stream. I heard about they had the next goal was a $2 million live stream, and they eat that recently. So things are coming. Maybe it's not coming as fast as they would like, but still, like being able to generate $2 million into a live stream, that's significant amount of GMV. So I think um, I'm not so worried. I think it's gonna come. It's just a matter of time, and it's gonna be there and it's gonna here to stay. Now the question about those influencers that are moving and selling on other platform, I've heard by many influencers that are mid-sized influencer heavily relying on TikTok saying, "Hey, I don't want to lose my business and my position in 9 months from now if TikTok were to go down, and so I have to start focusing on other platform." And I think that's kind of a side effect of the whole narrative, the political narrative that's happening, where maybe some of those creators are trying to shift a little bit just in case, trying to migrate audiences just in case something were to happen. But I do still think that for the majority of creators that are TikTok first creator, they remain TikTok first creator, and that's where they do bulk of their money at the moment.
Yeah, I mean it's a safe bet to be as many places as you can as an
Hmm.
influencer. But this is kind of goes back to what we talked about with the employment rates and things like that in our first story. Uh, you got to be sharp on the TikTok shop. You've got to give the customer something she hasn't seen, uh, and give her a value.
Yeah.
Maybe have limited quantity so it sells out quickly. And I love exclusivities. So only available here, only available this price for this show, only available, whatever, 20% discount if you order by the end of the hour, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
These things are effective, proven kind of marketing strategies for all of video commerce. And I think sometimes on TikTok Shop, those fundamentals fall short, and they don't offer a value, and they don't offer an exclusivity. The customer can get it anywhere else. They're already on the web. They're going to search your brand out. They're going to search that product out, and if they find the same product at a cheaper price somewhere else, then you
Mm.
just marketed for another retailer. So you really have to be sharp with what you're offering. You just can't go out there, not willy nilly, but without certain direction, marketing and sales direction, to be smart. And I think limited quantities are again something we talked about before. I think that's great when you can count something down. Only 3 dozen left, or 300 left, or whatever the number is. You give it a limited quantity story, then the sense of urgency kicks in, and she wants to buy.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I think that's definitely there. And I would love to see what not numbers look like and how performant they are, because they are definitely into that aspect of the limited quantity and all that excitement with the auction model and everything. I would love to see like the inside out and having someone to tell me a little bit how the dynamic work. But it's certainly, I think, like that element of the product selling by itself because of this limited quantity or or the auction style or whatever, I think are really definitely some interesting. One thing that caught my attention personally this week was eBay shoppable runway at Fashion Week. So that's pretty interesting when you think about it. We've talked about this before. This notion of like the second-hand product making a resurgence, especially especially big in Europe, with a bunch of company and startup launching and becoming massive marketplace about reselling uh, already won clothing. And it goes with the eco-conscious consumer that is trying to have a better impact for the environment. Very contrarian to Shane and some of those fast fashion. But what we're seeing with eBay getting into Fashion Week, I think it's an interesting play in two ways. One is the play of, okay, the I will say that second-hand product getting prime time into one of the most iconic place in the world, which is the fashion show in New York. But also, it really show like the eBay and it's an internet company presenting that, which is typically not the kind of company you would expect to see there. So I know QVC had done some stuff there. Can you comment on the behind the scene and how those things were to happen?
Yeah, you know what? I watched 10. I read the story on your eStreamly newsletter this morning, as I do each Friday morning. I read your newsletter, and I didn't know about this, the pre-loved Fashion Week in New York City. So I have been part of New York's Fashion Week before with QVC many years ago. A lot of energy and excitement, and it's an exciting event, and it kind of dictates or kind of sets a tone for the upcoming year in the fashion world. So funny in my mind in that we just talked about value being a big driver with TikTok Shop. The prices in the show that I watched range from $250 to $2,000. So some of the things they were offering were not cheap at all. They were very expensive. But this woman who hosted it was like she was hosting the fashion show, and she was talking about the product, talking about the price, talking about all the details of what designer it was from, all that kind of thing. There was energy. I will say that the lighting was a little dim. I wish the lighting was a little better for a broadcast. I was disappointed with that, but she was good. Like she knew what she was talking about. She was right off the runway. Live shoppable video commerce through eBay. So I love them doing that. And I read through that story that it's nearly a 50 billion with a B market, luxury products,
Yeah.
luxury secondhand products in the world last year. $50 billion. I never knew that.
Yeah,
So it's a huge market.
yeah, it's a huge market, definitely, right?
And you
Very
could,
interesting.
yeah, the event just started yesterday. It runs from September 5th to September 11th. So if you
So
wanted to go on eBay and check it out,
yeah,
uh, it's streaming, I guess, for the next 5-6 days.
so will you be going to Fashion Week or
No, not this year. No,
not
no,
this year?
no, I'm not. No.
Cool.
The last story I wanted to talk about, and something we've talked about before, but I always find it intriguing, and it's very much top of mind because I sell in video commerce through QVC and HSN mainly, is online reviews. And our products and our brands, we're always very conscious of the online reviews. Um, uh, um, we try to address them during the live presentation. We could countersell it, or we could talk through it of what the challenges were from the consumer. If they just didn't like it, they didn't like it. There's nothing much to say. But if they give you a reason why, can you counter the reason why? So the report that we found on eye tracking insights said that 80% pay more attention to the negative reviews, which is not much of a surprise to me.
Yeah.
I think 80% is a big number, but that the negative reviews are what probably catch your attention more than this is great or
Yeah.
I love this.
I think for me the way I read reviews is I go to the negative review all the time because then I can decide if I found that review negative and a little bit more. I think what the negative review really does, it show you some flow of the product, and then you can decide, is that a flow that I can live with? Is that really a flow that I really consider flow for me? And I think that's the beauty of it. Like if you go to the review that are typically the positive review, as you say, it's great, it's awesome, it does this, it does that, and you're like, okay, yeah, but how objective are you? Tell me something I don't know about it, which positive review tend to tell you the things you already know. And I think that's kind of um, highlighting. And I think that's why also video is so powerful, right? Because in the video, you can really make your own judgment about the things you want to see as opposed to, what the user want to tell you. Yeah, or you always have someone telling you the best of it, but on the video, it's very hard to, if the product has an angle you don't like or a color you don't like, you can see that right away. And so I
I was
think
going to say the same thing. Like if you trust your influencer, trust the host in how they explain the product. I think I rely on that more through live streaming than
mhm,
dozens of reviews or a dozen or two reviews where they might have a 2-star rating where these people that you don't know or trust are saying what they don't like about the product. So if
yeah,
you're listening to the live stream and you're listening to the host or the influencer speak to it and answer your questions about it, that's truly the best. And then you make your own decision. So
yeah.
I think reviews are important. In reviews, there's trends. At QVC and HSN, we talk about 5-star reviews, which are, I think, 25 minimum of 25 reviews of 4.5 stars or better. So that's
Mm,
considered customer top rated. That is a big deal to market to when everyone's loving the product. But even if they're not, and if there's mixed reviews, I think it's a smart thing for the consumers to look at it. Just don't rely on it
yeah.
completely before you make that purchase decision.
I think there's something to say about the live stream. I mean, often when I talk to merchants, one of the concern that I've seen, and I'm sure, I don't know if that's something you have seen on your side, is this idea of like, okay, well, if I do a live stream and then someone gets to troll me during the stream, how do I respond to that? I don't want this kind of trolling. And so there's this fear of, okay, the losing control over the experience itself of the stream and what the brand wants to showcase and how they want to showcase. And I think there's really two answers to that. Well, first of all, most technology provider out there, could be Streamly or any of the other, they do have some sort of moderation in chat where it will filter out some of those comments before they are either being made, or when they're made, you can actually remove them from the whole comment chain. Now, the there's something to be said, right? The host is also, it's a human being, and maybe some of those comments may be affecting them directly. So I think there's, we addressed that previously on previous podcast episode. But as the host, you also want to acknowledge the conflict in some way, right? You read there, say, thank you for making that comment. I don't think this is an appropriate comment for me. Or if it's something that is personal, you can dismiss it and say, hey, this is probably not the right place for saying those kind of things. We are a grown-up community, and just rebound the conversation and make sure that you focus on what matter, but address the point, right? Not Don't let it be there and then just like this thing that just impact you personally, because it's going to impact your performance on the show. So address it up front. I think it's really important. And also just move on, right? Okay, someone has said about review, but comment. Maybe there are some learnings, as you say, right? Maybe it's about review about the product itself, and let's say something, and you're like, okay, well, this is actually a really great comment. I love what you just said. We didn't thought it this way, but I will certainly bring that to the team. Moving on. And so I think those are the way to address that. There's the personal trolling will always be there, like human being. When we are behind screen, it's easy to troll, but it's part of it. But I will say that, fortunately or unfortunately, depending of the way you want to think about it, but like fortunately, I will say, on every stream that I've done with Extremely, we never had a troll. And I think it's something to be said about community as well, because in a way, when you're streaming to your community, to the people that surround you, that already share your brand and the value of the brand and wants to be part of something. And I, as I say, I really, on the last 3 years that I've been doing this, I never really encountered any bad comment or misjudgment or anything. So I don't know. Maybe I'm an exception, but I wonder if this is more like a fear, but it's not really happening really in real life. So
I agree. And if they're, you know what, in the end, they're tuning in. And that's what you want. You want you want to build an audience. If you could dismiss it quickly and move on, you've got another follower, and she picked you up, or he picked you up somewhere through your own social
Mhm.
media with through your platform. So she knows about you already, obviously. Yeah. And if you could address it quickly and then move on, I think that'd be great. And that's the smart advice.
Great. Well, I don't know if you have any shout out for the crowd this month. I don't this week. I don't have any special shout out to do, but thank you everyone for being here. We appreciate you. Feel free to comment. We are here every Friday on LinkedIn, YouTube, as well as on Facebook. We are also on the live e-commerce podcast. We're going to be some change on that. We will post it only on Apple and Spotify for the next couple of months. We'll probably go back and post it in other platforms. So if you are listening on any of the other platform and you're cutting us there, and you're like, oh, I love this platform, can you post on there? Just raise your hand, and we'll try to find a way to post there as well. But thank you everyone for being here, and we will see you again next Friday. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.